Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hello everyone, Mitch coming in from the... Sorry about that. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So, on today's episode, we finally have some Commander 2060 spoilers from Wizards. That's right, their long-awaited set, Commander 2060. It's gonna be great, so let's jump into some spoilers. So first up, we finally got a reimagining of an old classic with Sol Ring. Now, the original Sol Ring comes from way back in my day, and let me tell you, was it powerful back then. It was the most played card by far, and there were plenty of people who called for it to be banned. But over the years, power creep very much became a thing, and it started to see less and less play. Back in the late 2040s is probably the last time that Sol Ring saw any kind of play. It was simply just an underpowered and weak card compared to what we have now. So the new take on that old classic is this. It's an artifact for 1 and it taps to add colorless, colorless, colorless. On top of that, they even fixed the spelling of Sol, which originally was a big print mistake. So now it taps for an extra mana, has some new amazing art, and is even spelled correctly. This is definitely a bulk bin kind of a card, but I can see it seeing play in colorless decks or in mono purple decks. As many of you know, mono purple is by far the worst color in Magic, not getting card draw or ramp. So these days, mono purple will take what it can get, and Sol Ring, well, it might just have to fit one of those slots. But now let's move on to our next card with Rhystic Burgeoning Tithe. It's an enchantment for green, white, blue, and it's got quite a bit of text, so here we go. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If that player doesn't, you create a treasure token. And whenever an opponent plays a land, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Every Commander player knows that taxing effects have been the best thing to ever happen to the format. For years, players have loved when they're asked the question, are you going to pay 1 for that? And are you going to pay 2 for that? So this is a card that does both. And because treasures are only temporary ramp, Wizards had to sweeten the pot a little bit with this one. So on top of those taxing effects, they threw in that land part just to make it playable. Now, will this card be good enough to fit into triple partner tribal with Thrasios at the helm? I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that. Regardless, again, this takes a lot of fair elements that many players love in Magic. Taxes and being asked questions repetitively. But now let's move on to a commander from this set with Fibble Flip the Final Form. Now, I'm sure you're very aware that we've gotten a ton of Fibble Flips over the past 40 or so years. After it was revealed that Nicol Bolas was merely a pawn of Fibble Flip the whole time, the Magic story really took off. Ultimately, Fibble Flip single-handedly even took out the Gatewatch and returned to Ravnica. But since that set came out in 2056, we have not seen Fibble Flip up until today. Fibble Flip decided to travel through time and space to find an actual challenge. But now the Master of the Universe is back and he means business. Fibble Flip the Final Form is a 5/5 god that costs 1 blue-black. He has when you cast this spell, you gain control of target opponent for the rest of the game, and he's got hexproof and indestructible. On top of that, you can pay 0 and exile Fibble Flip the Final Form, and you can pay 0 to return him from exile to the battlefield. Now, 3 mana for a 5/5 with hexproof and indestructible is a bit overcosted in Dimir. But being able to gain control of an opponent for the rest of the game is a fantastic effect. And being able to exile and return Fibble Flip whenever you want definitely is a flavor win. As we all know now, Fibble Flip was never lost, he just made it appear so. I can see Fibble Flip the Final Form being a viable commander in certain metas. In terms of power level for this commander, I'd have to say it's a 72.8 on the official Wizards commander power level scale. Now, controlling your friends is great, but let's talk about a control spell with Force of Guardianship. It's an instant for 1 blue-blue, but it really doesn't actually cost that. Because it says if you are playing Commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. On top of that, it can't be countered and it can counter target spell. So as long as you're using this card in a game of Commander, you never have to pay for it. But if you're a Legacy player or you play Ultra Modern 2.0, you're not going to want to use this. Regardless, in Commander is where this card's going to shine, becoming another staple card that you do not have to pay to cast. Commander really has become the home of free cast spells. In fact, I'd say that the average deck today has about 50% of spells that are free to cast. At a certain point, Wizards realized that many players don't want to tap things for mana or do math, so casting things for free is easier. So if you're looking for a free counter spell that can't be countered, think about adding Force of Guardianship to every single one of your decks. But next up, it appears that Wizards is trying to make burn finally viable in Commander. Burn never has been, and many players think that it never will be, good in Commander. So it appears that we've got a new take on the old classic Lightning Bolt with Thunderstorm. Thunderstorm is an instant that costs a red and it has Superstorm. And of course we all know that Superstorm means that whenever you cast this spell, you copied for each spell cast before it this game. And Thunderstorm is going to deal 3 damage to any target. So giving a Lightning Bolt Superstorm might be just enough to give Burn a little bit of edge so that it can see some play. Now back when Commander life totals were at 40, this might have been able to take out all 3 players at once. You wait a couple turns, you get your Superstorm count over 100, and then you're dealing a ton of damage. But of course, these days, thanks to the rules committee's change in 2052, everyone's life total starts off at 400. So I think it's still going to be pretty hard for Thunderstorm to break into the format. Well, there's always Commander 2061, so better luck next time, Burn players. Next up though, let's talk about a card that's in the second worst color in the format, just ahead of Mono Purple, with Balance of the Heavens. When I started playing, Mono White was the worst color in Commander. Like, it wasn't even close. I think they thought it was some kind of a funny, terrible joke. They'd give green pretty much the ability to do everything, and white would be stuck with pretty much nothing. Except for life gain, which is still garbage. Anyways, it took Mono Purple to be created for Mono White not to be the worst color. And that's because there are only 10 purple cards in existence. Everyone knows that Wizards abandoned Mono Purple shortly after it was made in 2043. So those 10 purple cards are all that Mono Purple has, and it's still almost as good as Mono White. Regardless, it appears that Wizards might be finally taking things seriously with Balance of the Heavens. It's an instant for a white and it has split second, so as long as this spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. And it simply says, you win the game. A 1 mana, essentially you win the game spell that can't be countered. Is this going to make Mono White viable? Probably not. Mono White still has a long way to go. At least it finally appears that Wizards is trying to help out Mono White though. But now the card that you've all been waiting for over 40 years, they finally reprinted Wayfarers Bobble. That's right, the last Wayfarers Bobble reprint was all the way back in Commander Anthology Volume 2, which was before this channel even ever started. For the longest time, I've been asking year after year for Wizards to reprint it, and they never did. But now we finally have that reprint with some new and amazing art. It also finally got shifted to the rarity that it deserves with Mythic Rare. So we'll have to see how much this actually impacts the price. Luckily for me though, I invested in the Bobble early and bought thousands of copies back when it was 12 cents. I mean, ignore that. Regardless, I'm glad to see my old friend get a reprint and get the respect that it deserves. Because as you know, it's always been a Mythic Rare in my heart. But on top of this exciting news, I've got some more for you as well. Because now joining me on this episode is special guest PleasantKenobi. And many of you know that Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi, has the #1 Magic the Gathering YouTube channel ever since the professor switched over to Yu-Gi-Oh! Exclusively. I'm honored to have Vince on the show, and he's going to reveal the final spoiler for you today. And because it's Wizards, we need as many sets going on at once as we can, so this spoiler is coming from Zendikar9.
It's spoiler season again, and I've been at this for decades at this point. Today is my 21st birthday, by the way. I am 21 years old, like I've always been. But today was very special. Wizards of the Coast as a birthday present to me, because I'm kind of a big deal. Now, I know what you're going to say, they reprinted them 29 years ago in Modern Horizons 2. Yes, but I'm still bogged out that each pack cost me £6 English. That was before the economic collapse, and now, I don't know, by inflation it would probably be £48 per pack at this point. Goddamn Brexit. But look, it's been 29 years. It's been 29 years and we've only had 6 different secret layer printings. But finally they decided that in Zendikar9 we're going to have the fetch lands again. I think it's a bit late. Legacy's dead. Modern's on life support. Literally, I visited it this morning. It's not doing very well. It's a bit late, Wizards.
And with that, this show is coming... Sorry about that. I don't know what's gotten into me. And with that, this show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on these spoilers are. Are they overpowered like 2059 was? Or is 2060 the year that Wizards finally gets Commander right when it comes to power levels? So, yeah, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks again and have a good one.